The California Institute of Technology is a private doctorate-granting university located in Pasadena, California, United States. Although founded as a preparatory and vocational school by Amos G.Throop in 1891, the college attracted influential scientists such as George Ellery Hale, Arthur Amos Noyes, and Robert Andrews Millikan in the early 20th century. The vocational and preparatory schools were disbanded and spun off in 1910, and the college assumed its present name in 1921. In 1934, Caltech was elected to the Association of American Universities, and the antecedents of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which Caltech continues to manage and operate, were established between 1936 and 1943 under Theodore von Karman. The university is one among a small group of institutes of technology in the United States which tends to be primarily devoted to the instruction of technical arts and applied sciences. Caltech has 6 academic divisions with strong emphasis on science and engineering, managing $332 million in 2011 in sponsored research. Its 124-acre primary campus is located approximately 11 miles northeast of downtown Los Angeles. First-year students are required to live on campus, and 95% of undergraduates remain in the on-campus house system at Caltech. Although Caltech has a strong tradition of practical jokes and pranks, student life is governed by an honor code which allows faculty to assign take-home examinations. The Caltech Beavers compete in 13 intercollegiate sports in the NCAA Division III's Southern California Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. Caltech is frequently cited as one of the world's best universities. Caltech alumni and faculty include 34 Nobel Prizes, 1 Fields Medalist, 6 Turing Award winners, 4 chief scientists of the U.S. Air Force, and 71 have won the United States National Medal of Science or Technology. There are 112 faculty members who have been elected to the United States National Academies. In addition, numerous faculty members are associated with the Howard Hughes Medical Institute as well as NASA. According to a 2015 Pomona study, Caltech ranked number 1 in the USA for the percentage of its graduates who go on to earn a PhD. History. Throop College. Caltech started as a vocational school founded in Pasadena in 1891 by local businessman and politician Amos G.Throop. The school was known successively as Throop University, Throop Polytechnic Institute, and Throop College of Technology, before acquiring its current name in 1920. The vocational school was disbanded and the preparatory program was split off to form an independent polytechnic school in 1907, at a time when scientific research in the United States was still in its infancy. George Ellery Hale, a solar astronomer from the University of Chicago, founded the Mount Wilson Observatory in 1904. He joined Throop's Board of Trustees in 1907, and soon began developing it and the whole of Pasadena into a major scientific and cultural destination. He engineered the appointment of James A.B. Scherer, a literary scholar and tutored in science but a capable administrator and fundraiser, to Throop's presidency in 1908. Scherer persuaded retired businessman and trustee Charles W. Gates to donate $25,000 in seed money to build Gates Laboratory, the first science building on campus. World Wars. In 1910, Throop moved to its current site. Arthur Fleming donated the land for the permanent campus site. Theodore Roosevelt delivered an address at Throop Institute on March 21, 1911, and he declared, "I want to see institutions like Throop turn out perhaps 99 of every 100 students as men who are given pieces of industrial work better than anyone else can do them. I want to see those men do the kind of work that is now being done on the Panama Canal and on the great irrigation projects in the interior of this country, and the 100th man I want to see with the kind of cultural scientific training that will make him and his fellows the matrix out of which you can occasionally develop a man like your great astronomer, George Ellery Hale." In the same year, a bill was introduced in the California legislature calling for the establishment of a publicly funded California Institute of Technology, with an initial budget of $1 million, 10 times the budget of Throop at the time. The Board of Trustees offered to turn Throop over to the state, but the presidents of Stanford University and the University of California successfully lobbied to defeat the bill, which allowed Throop to develop as the only scientific research-oriented education institute in Southern California, public or private, until the onset of the World War II necessitated the broader development of research-based science education. The promise of Throop attracted physical chemist Arthur Amos Noyes from MIT to develop the institution and assist in establishing it as a center for science and technology. With the onset of World War I, Hale organized the National Research Council to coordinate and support scientific work on military problems. While he supported the idea of federal appropriations for science, he took exception to a federal bill that would have funded engineering research at land-grant colleges, and instead sought to raise a $1 million national research fund entirely from private sources. To that end, as Hale wrote in the New York Times, Throop College of Technology, in Pasadena, California has recently afforded a striking illustration of one way in which the Research Council can secure cooperation and advance scientific investigation. This institution, with its able investigators and excellent research laboratories, could be of great service in any broad scheme of cooperation. President Scherer, hearing of the formation of the council, immediately offered to take part in its work, and with this object, he secured within 3 days an additional research endowment of $100,000. Through the National Research Council, Hale simultaneously lobbied for science to play a larger role in national affairs, and for Throop to play a national role in science. The new funds were designated for physics research, and ultimately led to the establishment of the Norman Bridge Laboratory, which attracted experimental physicist Robert Andrews Millikan from the University of Chicago in 1917. During the course of the war, Hale, Noyes and Millikan worked together in Washington on the NRC. Subsequently, they continued the partnership in developing Caltech. Under the leadership of Hale, Noyes and Millikan, Caltech grew to national prominence in the 1920s and concentrated on the development of Roosevelt's 100th man. On November 29, 1921, the trustees declared it to be the express policy of the Institute to pursue scientific research of the greatest importance and at the same time, to continue to conduct thorough courses in engineering and pure science, basing the work of these courses on exceptionally strong instruction in the fundamental sciences of mathematics, physics, and chemistry, broadening and enriching the curriculum by a liberal amount of instruction in such subjects as English, history, and economics, and vitalizing all the work of the Institute by the infusion in generous measure of the spirit of research. Quote, In 1923, Millikan was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics. In 1925, the school established a Department of Geology and hired William Bennett Munro, then chairman of the Division of History, Government, and Economics at Harvard University, to create a Division of Humanities and Social Sciences at Caltech. In 1928, a Division of Biology was established under the leadership of Thomas Hunt Morgan, the most distinguished biologist in the United States at the time, and discoverer of the role of genes and the chromosome in heredity. In 1930, Kirchhoff Marine Laboratory was established in Corona del Mar under the care of Professor George McGinnity. In 1926, a graduate school of aeronautics was created, which eventually attracted Theodore von Karman. Karman later helped create the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and played an integral part in establishing Caltech as one of the world's centers for rocket science. In 1928, construction of the Palomar Observatory began. Millikan served as chairman of the Executive Council from 1921 to 1945, and his influence was such that the institute was occasionally referred to as Millikan's School. Millikan initiated a visiting scholars program soon after joining Caltech. Scientists who accepted his invitation include luminaries such as Paul Dirac, Erwin Schrödinger, Werner Heisenberg, Hendrik Lorentz and Niels Bohr. Albert Einstein arrived on the Caltech campus for the first time in 1931 to polish up his theory of general relativity, and he returned to Caltech subsequently as a visiting professor in 1932 and 1933. During World War II, Caltech was one of 131 colleges and universities nationally that took part in the V-12 Navy College Training Program, which offered students a path to a Navy commission. The United States Navy also maintained a naval training school for aeronautical engineering, resident inspectors of ordnance and naval material, and a liaison officer to the National Defense Research Committee on campus. Post-war growth in the 1950s-1970s, Caltech was the home of Murray Gell-Mann and Richard Feynman, whose work was central to the establishment of the Standard Model of particle physics. Feynman was also widely known outside the physics community as an exceptional teacher and colorful, unconventional character. During Lee Dubridge's tenure as Caltech's president, Caltech's faculty doubled and the campus tripled in size. Dubridge, unlike his predecessors, welcomed federal funding of science. New research fields flourished, including chemical biology, planetary science, nuclear astrophysics, and geochemistry. A 200-inch telescope was dedicated on nearby Palomar Mountain in 1948 and remained the world's most powerful optical telescope for over 40 years. Caltech opened its doors to female undergraduates during the presidency of Harold Brown in 1970, and they made up 14% of the entering class. The fraction of female undergraduates has been increasing since then. Caltech undergraduates have historically been so apathetic to politics that there has been only one organized student protest in January 1968, outside the Burbank studios of NBC, in response to rumors that NBC was to cancel Star Trek. In 1973, the students from Dabney House protested a presidential visit with a sign on the library bearing the simple phrase, "Impeach Nixon." The following week, Ross McCollum, president of the National Oil Company, wrote an open letter to Dabney House stating that in light of their actions he had decided not to donate $1 million to Caltech. The Dabney family, being Republicans, disowned Dabney House after hearing of the prank. 21st century. Since 2000, the Einstein Papers project has been located at Caltech. The project was established in 1986 to assemble, preserve, translate, and publish papers selected from the literary estate of Albert Einstein and from other collections. In fall 2008, the freshman class was 42% female, a record for Caltech's undergraduate enrollment. In the same year, the institute concluded a 6-year-long fundraising campaign. The campaign raised more than $1.4 billion from about 16,000 donors. Nearly half of the funds went into the support of Caltech programs and projects. In 2010, Caltech, in partnership with Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory and headed by Professor Nathan Lewis, established a TO Energy Innovation Hub aimed at developing revolutionary methods to generate fuels directly from sunlight. This hub, the Joint Center for Artificial Photosynthesis, will receive up to $122 million in federal funding over 5 years. Since 2012, Caltech began to offer classes through MOOCs under Coursera, and from 2013, edX. Jean-Luc Chamu, the 8th president, announced on February 19, 2013, that he would be stepping down to accept the presidency at King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. Thomas F. Rosenbaum was announced to be the 9th president of Caltech on October 24, 2013, and his term began on July 1, 2014. Campus. Caltech's 124-acre primary campus is located in Pasadena, California, approximately 11 miles northeast of downtown Los Angeles. It is within walking distance of Old Town Pasadena and the Pasadena Playhouse District, and therefore the two locations are frequent getaways for Caltech students. In 1917, Hale hired architect Bertram Goodhue to produce a master plan for the 22 acres campus. Goodhue conceived the overall layout of the campus and designed the physics building, Dabney Hall, and several other structures, in which he sought to be consistent with the local climate, the character of the school, and Hale's educational philosophy. Goodhue's designs for Caltech were also influenced by the traditional Spanish mission architecture of Southern California. In 1971, a magnitude 6.6 earthquake in San Fernando caused some damage to the Caltech campus. Engineers who evaluated the damage found that two historic buildings dating from the early days of the institute, Throop Hall and the Goodhue-designed Culbertson Auditorium, had cracked. These were some of the first reinforced concrete buildings, and the plans did not contain enough details to be sure they were safe, so the engineers recommended demolition. However, demolishing these historic structures required considerably more effort than would have been necessary had they been in real danger of collapse. A large wrecking ball was used to demolish Throop Hall, and smashing the concrete revealed massive amounts of rebar, far in excess of safety requirements. The rebar had to be cut up before the pieces could be hauled away, and the process took much longer than expected. New additions to the campus include the Cahill Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics and the Walter and Leonore Annenberg Center for Information, Science and Technology, which opened in 2009, and the Warren and Catherine Schlinger Laboratory for Chemistry and Chemical Engineering followed in March 2010. The institute also concluded an upgrading of the South Houses in 2006. In late 2010, Caltech completed a 1.3 megawatt solar array projected to produce approximately 1.6 gigawatt-hours in 2011. Organization and Administration. The mission statement of Caltech reads, "The mission of the California Institute of Technology is to expand human knowledge and benefit society through research integrated with education. We investigate the most challenging, fundamental problems in science and technology in a singularly collegial, interdisciplinary atmosphere, while educating outstanding students to become creative members of society." Caltech is incorporated as a non-profit corporation and is governed by a privately appointed 46-member board of trustees who serve 5-year terms of office and retire at the age of 72. The current board is chaired by David L. Lee, co-founder of Global Crossing Limited. The trustees elect a president to serve as the chief executive officer of the institute and administer the affairs on the institute on behalf of the board. A provost who serves as the chief academic officer of the institute below the president, and 10 other vice presidential and other senior positions. Former Georgia Tech provost Jean-Lou Chamu became the 8th president of Caltech on September 1, 2006, replacing David Baltimore, who had served since 1997. Dr. Amos' compensation for 2008-2009 totaled $799,472. Chamu served until June 30, 2013. Thomas F. Rosenbaum was announced to be the 9th president of Caltech on October 24, 2013, and his term began on July 1, 2014. Caltech's endowment is governed by a permanent trustee committee and administered by an investment office. The institute is organized into 6 primary academic divisions: biology and biological engineering, chemistry and chemical engineering, engineering and applied science, geological and planetary sciences, humanities and social sciences, and physics, mathematics, and astronomy. The voting faculty of Caltech include all professors, instructors, research associates and fellows, and the university librarian. Faculty are responsible for establishing admission requirements, academic standards, and curricula. The faculty board is the faculty's representative body and consists of 18 elected faculty representatives as well as other senior administration officials. Full-time professors are expected to teach classes, conduct research, advise students, and perform administrative work such as serving on committees. The Jet Propulsion Laboratory is a federally funded research and development center owned by NASA and operated as a division of Caltech through a contract between NASA and Caltech. In 2008, JPL spent over $1.6 billion on research and development and employed over 5,000 project-related and support employees. The JPL director also serves as a Caltech vice president and is responsible to the president of the institute for the management of the laboratory.